I get the mentality. I get where he's coming from. Can't say that I like it. I think it's going to be a little bit of a wave of the future. Guy goes out there, doesn't practice all week, gets 2 interceptions, wins the game. I can see a lot of veteran players saying, hell, I don't need to practice either.
Nothing new. What I heard there, a different version of vet rules. Vet rules, when I played, guys would miss Wednesday, sometimes even miss Thursday, go out there and ball out. They weren't upset at the organization. They weren't holding out for a contract. But he is following the trend. It's not one he's setting. It's the one of players with 1 or more years left on their contract, whether it's Khalil Mack, whether it's you talk about Earl Thomas and others, Aaron Donald. And now I don't want to participate fully because I'm protecting my assets. Not mad at them, but I've seen this in different forms and versions before.
I love this. I absolutely love that. Because that's something I would never have done. I would have never had the moxie to do what he's doing, to do what Le'Veon Bell is doing. When I got franchised in Kansas City, Carl Peterson came in there and said, look, you're going to take this contract or I'm going to keep franchising you. And that's all there is to it. And I said, okay. Even though I feel like I'm worth more money, even though I feel like I should be paid like a receiver, I had to sign it. This guy is, he is, and I do think it's a wave of the future. The young guys are taking their power back because they realize what they have. I'm anxious to see where this ends up, though, because who's going to win here? Also, too, that's Earl Thomas. He's one of the best in the business. You young players out there, if you don't play like him, don't try to act like him.
You got to be in that position to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, if he wasn't playing good enough, they would be talking about, let's restructure this, let's lower your pay. He's balling out.
Yep.
It's time to ante up. And if I'm him, I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah, it protects your assets. I mean, if you think about it, we've all been around if you weren't the one that Wednesday practice, look, man, and then Thursday practice, coach, I'm not feeling so good. But you had your play to support that kind of attitude and that kind of response. But when you ball, you dictate terms. It's a leverage game in all sports. That's nothing new. And, Tony, I'm just like you. I was a guy that, hey, I signed a 4-year deal. I'm playing 4 years. I signed a 3-year deal. I'm playing 3 years. Like, I never went upstairs, but I respect the guys who are doing this. But in yesteryear, they did it in a different form, and it wasn't the same contention.
I just worry. We've already reduced NFL practices to virtually nothing. Tony played for Marty Schottenheimer.
Ooh, me too.
Yeah, you played for Marty Schottenheimer as well, them long, hard practices or whatever. As a fan, I'm speaking just as a fan, sometimes I was like, that produced a better brand of football. I think we're headed towards an NFL where we're going to have a lot of guys that just aren't practicing.
Well, you don't have to tackle no more. You can't hit nobody, so you really don't need to practice. So, I mean, it's going where it needs to go. Everything is lining up.
Right, exactly.
As a fan, I'm not sure if the quality of play is the same as what I used to see.
Oh, I think it is. I think it's even better.
I don't know.
I'll go there.
I don't know if it's because of lack of practice. I think that's because of
practice
the way
makes perfect.
The pay scale is. You don't see, there's no middle class in the NFL, it seems, anymore. It's like young players and then really old players because of the pay wages. That's why I think football has slipped.
Hey, they got motorized tackling dummies now, man. The game's changed, bro.
They're dangerous, too. Motorized tackling, they're dangerous. Listen, I'm dead serious, dude. They bottom end heavy, they top end light. So if you go to tackle that and you actually tackle it how you're supposed to, you land on your head. A couple guys done hit their head in practice, had to sit out a couple days. Messing with a tackling down.
2 years ago, Dak Prescott was the hottest quarterback in football. Last year, at the end of the year, Jimmy Garoppolo, the hottest quarterback in football. If both of these guys have hit an iceberg this year, but if I'm Dallas, I feel far better about my quarterback situation than the San Francisco 49ers. And it's not just the injury. Jimmy Garoppolo, they paid a ton of money, $100 million contract, and he has looked average compared to last year. Holds the ball too long, been a bit inaccurate. He has fallen off and now did a stupid play and has injured himself. Dak Prescott only making $630,000 this year, $720 next year. I feel much better if I'm the Cowboys.
I don't feel much better because Dak Prescott, we made a lot of excuses for Dak Prescott. At first it was, that's Tony Romo's offense, even though he did well in it. So then we said, okay, we got to change that around and then he's going to be fine. Then it's, Ezekiel Elliott, he's out the lineup, but he still had Dez and Witten. And then this year it's like, no Dez and Witten, but everything's fine with little injuries up front. But you know what? He's going to be good. And 9 of the last 11 games, Dak Prescott hasn't even thrown for 200 yards. I repeat, 9 of 11. He can't even, those are like rushing yardages. He's going out there 160, 180. I'm like, is that the running back or the quarterback? So I am with Jimmy G. Despite the injury, I'm still seeing a guy who has shown me that he has that electricity to his game. Dak's too conservative, and by the numbers, it shows he's not that great.
I think Dak Prescott is going to go on to have a better year, and I think the fans for the Dallas Cowboys.
Jimmy's not playing the rest of the year. You mean career? Okay, good.
The fans should feel better about Dak Prescott, the Dallas Cowboy fans, because he's going to go on and get the reps. Like, he's going to get the reps. He's going to get the play. He's going to experience, the highs and the lows of the rest of this season. That's important when you're playing the quarterback position. Jimmy G, what he pulled yesterday, not running out of bounds, even me being a running quarterback, I would have ran out of bounds without hesitation. It was nothing there. So he lose out on the reps. He lose out on the experience. He don't have a ton of experience as it is. So now he has to sit for another year, did his team a disservice by not being responsible. So I think the Cowboys are in a better position. Dak is not surrounded with a lot of talent. They got to work on that. But they got to feed Zeke from here on out, so I think they're in a better position.
That's the problem. He had Zeke yesterday. Zeke ran for 100+.
They got to feed him more.
They fed him, and he was rolling, and they still couldn't get Dak going. So, look, if we had the same conversation last year and it was Dak or Carson Wentz after Carson Wentz got the injury, I understand the injury should affect your choice, but I'm still saying Carson Wentz. I'm looking at this the same way. Jimmy GQ has shown me more in those few games than Dak has in totality.
Carson Wentz put a season together.
He did.
For the most part. He got injured at the end of it. Jimmy G put 5 games together last year.
Yeah, 7 total.
Yeah, 3 average games this year.
Yeah.
And what Mike's point is, he's going to miss out on a full year of development early in his career. And now when he comes back, the whole aura around him is gone. He's
all the excitement.
He runs with the porn stars.
Hey.
He's changed his play on the field, has changed his image. The magic around Jimmy G is gone, and he's going to be saddled with that $100 million worth of expectations. I think Dak, if the Cowboys had went out and got Calvin Ridley, a wide receiver, and provided Dak some pieces, I still think you can put pieces around Dak and get something out of him.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about Jimmy.
And the thing about Jimmy G, last year, the San Francisco, they didn't have a winning record when he stepped in. It's so much easier to play when you're
no expectations.
2-7, and there's no expectations. You can come in, you can make some mistakes, throw some picks. The press is not really on. It was all upside for him.
But what about the expectations? Didn't everyone say Jimmy G was going to struggle through the first film cycle, the first 4 games? Like, everyone said, you had 9 months to study this dude finally. Like, coordinators are sitting there saying, and we're going to get after them.
I thought he was going to come out and light it up.
Yeah?
I'm being honest. I thought he was going to pick up where he left off, for sure.
Listen, defensive coordinators aren't making him hold on to the football. A defensive coordinator didn't say, hey, don't run out of bounds here, run into that DB. Though Jimmy G makes some bad decisions, including who he hangs out with in Beverly Hills. He's not a good decision maker.
Worst decision is when you're on the sideline, that's the 12th man.